Hello, it's Noah Nerd, and welcome to an update on Papyrus 3D, the interactive 3D and framework slash engine thing that I'm building at the minute around A-frame. Uh, so this is like the test map that I've been working on. This is where it's up to now, and in this video I'll just describe a little bit more about where I think I'm gonna just get my microphone a bit closer. Where I think I'm gonna take this project next. How I've scoped it down a little bit, but also how I'm dealing with problems as they're coming up. So I spent a lot of time today actually on this. I spent most of the day actually coding this, the extra stuff I've been working on. What I've added today is I've been working a lot on texture allocation, so I've been working on that quite a lot. This is still going to be quite limited, but I hopefully, like if I can get this working quite nicely, it'll be quite a nice little mini adventure game, sort of like system for building turn-based adventure quests with interactive fiction, plus hopefully if I can get it working in combat element, but I'm nowhere near that yet. I just want to get the core sort of scene generation engine features working basically. So let me just talk about what I've been doing here, what's going on and what's different. So you'll see there's like different textures, there's a different texture on the floors, different textures here. So I've been working quite a bit on having it so that you basically in the JSON you allocate a floor texture, a wall texture, a wall 2 texture, and a door texture. So at the minute it's very limited, like at the minute like you only have 4 or 5 textures that you can allocate, and I am going to keep it quite simple. I don't want to make this too complicated to the point where the scope gets out of control. I want to get a working version, then I can look at abstracting it further as I go ahead, is the idea. I think obviously got a little bit of sound in there. These enemies are there in there, like I swapped out. I also added in the ability to the component for the enemies now checks if it's a GLB file and OBJ file being loaded and runs the appropriate loader based on that, which is pretty obvious thing to do really, because A-frame supports OBJ and though I haven't got the materials actually loading correctly for these are OBJs now. It's like the Doom model, just a placeholder obviously, but also been doing a lot of stuff around positioning and getting everything sort of so it's scaling correctly. So this is the scene config for indoor and outdoors works at the minute as well, which is good. So if there's an indoor scene, I'll just demonstrate actually, I may as well. So the indoor scene, like obviously it needs to have a ceiling if it's indoors, right? So I go to the scene config, so this is scene 1. I haven't got into a scene 2, I just want to get everything working on a scene 1. If I change this to, and I did demonstrate this before, but I think I'm just going to demo it again. Indoors, reload this, which will reload anyway, won't it? Now, we should, oh no, maybe it's indoor, sorry. It has to be quite right. I should probably change that so it can be, yeah, indoor probably. I probably need to change it so it's not as an exact, or it can accept both. There'll be more like, there you go. So now we've got a ceiling. So this is now an indoor scene, as it were. I don't think like I said, this is going to be a turn-based thing, so I'm not going to worry about physics, collisions, and stuff. Just add some more overhead. But yeah, one thing I do need to do is a door component. So basically, I'll probably start doing that soon. So if when they've got the interface working, basically when you gaze with this gaze cursor at this for maybe a specified amount of time, if some certain conditions are true, then it will slide up or slide sideways or rotate. That's something I'll probably work on pretty soon. But yeah, at the minute and also I need to reintroduce the chatting functionality, because that is going to be another core aspect of this thing. But yeah, let me talk a bit more about the configs. So I've changed the directory structure is, so like I said, I'm running this. The way I'm approaching this is I've got the demo folder where I'm making a demo game basically, but then all the engine code is in here. So I'm running the engine code from within my HTML, so it's actually referring to the engine code core, and then I'm just basically I'm sort of prototyping in the HTML as well and taking things away as I go along. Which I think makes sense, especially because A-Frame is so based around HTML. The only thing I'm not sure about, like I mentioned this a while ago, and I've been trying to find a way around it, like is asset loading. Like it's still probably going to be the case once it's finished that you basically have to add your assets in, I guess, but then it'll be in specific custom ones in your folder basically. So you've got your engine. It's just actually that doesn't need to be there. Actually, should be really renamed. But you got models here, and I'll probably have like a template you can just copy basically, and I'll like a starter template or something. Then you add each of your scenes. No, don't do that. Thank God it prompted me. And then in each scene you'd have the choices, the dialogue, JSON, the map, which is the map. And like I mentioned before, I'm going to do a map editor so you can just spit these out without having to edit it by hand, but that's basically what it does. The scene JSON, which has got the settings, with just like your name, indoor type, room textures, which I'm not really using at the minute, but maybe I'll use it later. And then this is not really being used either, but it's actually all coming from maps, so I need to change all this. But you could also add foliage, which is another feature idea I had, but I've not implemented yet. Textures, this is being used now, so that in the code are now loading these textures. That was something I was trying to do, but I've sort of gone back on it now and changed the method I was using for it, I think, if I just check it. So no, actually, yeah, I'm using it because basically you want to set like a standard for each scene, I think, is the best way to do it. I'm not sure, really. Like you can set them for the entire game, but I think it'd be better to do it per scene. So you just do like, and I'll probably have like a template here for doing this. So you'd have ID the brick, ID the floor, ID the door, ID the whatever. And you could add your own custom ones. But probably at first it will be quite limited because these are just some bunch of ones I've done, but it will probably have to be limited in the future. Like this is your door texture, this is your wall, like, and then a number of textures you can add for each one basically. And then that's drawing from this directory texture. And I just got a bunch of test ones I've just got here. And then all that stuff I've been through before, like the config, the characters, the enemies, etc, etc. But yeah, that's a bit of a report on that. As you can see, this is just using an environment component. Yeah, I'll leave that at that. Have I muted this or something? I know, it's just not set to loop. There you go. That's that for this update for today. Noir Nerd. Like and subscribe.